Welcome back to Developing the Leader Within podcast. We are going to California today and speaking with Jessica David. Jessica is a nationally board certified health and wellness coach. She is the owner of Conveying Awareness and helps you align time, energy, and attention with what brings peace, purpose, and profit. Jessica, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Enrique, for having me. I'm so excited to be here and with everyone who's watching.
Outstanding. Folks, we're going to be talking about leadership and wellness. And I was talking with Jessica prior to the going here live that, I experienced a week where wellness was a big thing. Not me personally, but with a friend that unfortunately lost his life this last week, right? So wellness is so important. I want folks to listen up because we've just spent 2.5 years, three almost, in a pandemic situation. Things did not get any better in that front. We added more to it. If there was anything else that we needed to do, was add more to it with civil unrest and all the things happening around the world, conflicts across the pond. It has become a whirlwind when it comes to wellness, at least on the mental side. But before we get into all of that, and it sounds like a whole lot, Jessica, tell us a little bit about you.
Hi, thank you. First of all, my name is Jessica David. I'm originally from the East Coast, living in California. I'm a male spouse to a 20-year Navy vet. And I'm also for parents to a soon to be 14-year-old. And I've been a health coach since November 2012. So I'm coming up on my 10-year anniversary of coaching clients. So I'll be able to share a little bit more about that in our conversation today.
Outstanding. Well, thank you for your service and co-service, right, with your military service member. I did 26 years Navy. I understand what that role looks like. As a matter of fact, I'm doing a series on Aloha Friday Live highlighting military spouses with their business. So thank you for that, and I appreciate everything you do on that front. Now, Jessica, we're just talking about how wellness has evolved and how wellness has been highlighted over the last 3 years. You're in this business. So before we get into all the things about how we explain this, all the facets of wellness, what is wellness in your words?
So, wellness is a personal experience. So, each person has their own definition. Sure, we can go to dictionary.com, we can type in what is wellness on our search browser of choice, but really, ultimately, it's an inward reflection of what it is that we are, who we are, where we're going. So, it's a personal thing. So, each person's definition of wellness is going to look different to everybody else because each person is an expert on themselves. And I trust that when a client comes to me with their goals around wellness, we paint that picture based on where they are today and where they're going to be tomorrow or an hour from now. So it's really just a personal story and experience and a personalized definition.
Well, I love that you say and you individualize the goals, right? Everybody, and you just said it perfectly. Everybody's an expert in yourself. There are some people that don't even know themselves, right? And they'll say, "I don't even know who I am." But in the grand scheme of things, you know where you are challenged with in terms of wellness. And wellness has different I say arenas, right? Areas. Um, there's mental wellness, there's physical wellness, there's all emotional wellness, and all these things come to play in a individual's lives. So I want to ask you, why do you think that we put wellness off so much when it's so important?
That's a good question. And I think that's a twofold question. When I look at it from a female's perspective, typically in society, the narrative is that we tend to be givers and helpers and we tend to just think about the other person. Even if you're not a mother to humans, you might be a mom to pets. You might be a caretaker, an aunt, an uncle, not an uncle, sorry, an aunt. You could be any label that you choose, any category which you choose to take care of other responsibilities. And so sometimes we just put ourselves last. Whereas maybe from a male perspective, I can't speak on that personally. They tend to be the providers. They may typically, this is just a typical scenario, is that they are providing for their families or they're working a lot. So either way, we're both giving onto someone else's mission, perspective, and we are not looking at ourselves. We kind of forget about us. And whoever you are, wherever you are, when you get in on, if you get on an airplane, they tell you to put your oxygen mask on first. And sometimes we don't hear that, but it's so relatable to our life. We can't continue to pour out to others if we don't take care of ourselves first. If you ask yourself, who is number one? Who comes to mind? Is it somebody else or was it yourself that you said? And if you said someone else, that's okay too. But think about how to change that direction and think about yourself. So moving forward, who's number one? Raise your hand or touch yourself. Yeah, right here, I'm number one. So we take care of ourselves first. And of course, that's not as easy as it is to say it, or as easy it is, right? So going back to who you are and where you're going, and putting that wellness as an aspect to your life. It's easier said than done. Basically, what I'm saying, Enrique, even just conversing about it, it's a lot of words. That's how some people's lives are, right? It's just busyness. Sometimes I like to call it a beautiful mess because it sounds beautiful on paper or it sounds beautiful in theory, but then it's messy. So it's just how each day is and how it unfolds and what is important to that person in that particular instance. So checking in with self and getting back into what makes the most sense for that person in that moment.
Well, definitely all things do start with self. And I love the oxygen mask example because it does beg to think about, are you putting others before you? You can't give out of an empty cup. You can't give what you don't have. All these things come up when and when I think about a person giving and wellness and taking care, which is funny because I was about to ask you, what facets of wellness do you see people struggle with the most? Because it's easier to give than to receive at times, and a lot of people that are struggling are is that reason they're giving so much that they just they've spent themselves. There's nothing else to give, but there's always a plethora of hands waiting to be given. So what are those aspects that you see people are challenged with the most when it comes to well-being?
Okay, thank you for asking. That's a loaded question, and I want to try to tackle a little bit at a time. One thing that pops into my head when you said that it's easier to give than to receive, even though we're all in need of receiving and keeping our vessels full, is think about when somebody gives you a compliment. Do you usually say, thank you? Or do you say, oh, it was no big deal? Oh, it's that's that shift in perspective. When someone gives you a compliment, thank you. And that's it. It's a period. Thank you, period. It feels uncomfortable if you're not used to it, but try it this week. Just somebody gives you a compliment and says, excellent presentation at the board meeting last week. Thank you. Smile, and that's it. As far as aspects, so my health coaching kind of revolves around four pillars: lifestyle, exercise, attitude. So that could be your mental, physical, attitude, just overall, the full picture, and then nutrition. And most clients have come to me in the last couple of years, have wanted to focus on clean eating or losing weight or just getting into a better body awareness and acceptance. And sometimes that comes with usually losing weight. Some people have wanted to gain a healthy weight. So whatever it is that they seek around what makes them feel better in their own skin is their goal. That's usually the outside goal. But then when we start peeling back the layers, and that comes through a lot of powerful open-ended questions. So there's when a client meets with me, one of the processes that we go through is an intake form. And it's something that you may see when you go to a new practitioner or a therapist or a counselor. They want you to fill out paperwork, kind of see where you're at today. And so that's the same thing. But a lot of the questions dig deep. They really get to the nitty gritty of why you have chosen to work with me, or even as anybody in the health coach arena. And every single client that's gone through it, and because I said it's going to take at least a half hour, I'm just like, wow, I've never asked questions like this to myself. So it's definitely an inward reflection because every person matters, every person's voice matters. And the intake form allows them just to pull out what is the essence of who you are. And so going from, oh, I want to lose weight or I want to eat clean, it really gets down to who am I? I want to increase my self-confidence. I'm unsure of myself. I don't really know what my purpose is or what my vision is for my career, my business, or whatnot. So the intake form is just the very like, when you get to the pool and you dip your toes in the water, it's like, oh, it's cold. I don't want to go all the way in. Where some people just jump right in. Let's just get it over with. Well, some of us like to tiptoe in and ease into it. And so my process allows clients to ease into it, or if they just want to go all in, then they can go all in. It's based on where they are and how they feel each time they show up in the room with me.
And it's amazing how the variety of approaches to getting a solution to get to wellness there are. Now, there's always a first step for everybody. Everybody has to decide what it is that they want to do to begin this journey. So if I'm in that predicament right now that I am in need of a wellness journey, how can I find my first step? Because there's just so many things that I could do. But what is one thing that, kind of evens out among your clients that you say, okay, for the most part, and an even scale, this has been the first step that they need to do to get onto this journey?
Okay, excellent question. I love the way you pose that. What's the first step they need to do? I don't get to decide that. What is it that Enrique needs to do? That's really up to Enrique or anybody that shows up to the room. Anybody who's watching and is thinking about working with a health coach, someone who, or a life coach or a business coach, whatever. What is it that you need to do? That's really a self determination. What does that look like for you? So I literally can't sit here and tell you what you should do because I don't should on people. So, but if somebody was thinking, okay, what can I think of? What can I consider? Well, working with any type of coach, all right, will you show up to the room or to the session present and 100% available? Would there be no distractions so that you can focus on yourself for the 30 minutes or hour session that you have? That's maybe the first step. It's just like, am I available and can I show up with my whole self? And if the answer is yes, then you have already started.
I love that. I I don't shit on people. That should be a T-shirt. I'm telling you, Jessica, just go ahead and put your company logo on the back, and just in the front say, "I don't shit on people." It's a wonderful thing. But no, in reality, and all jokes aside, um, the first step to 1,000 miles is determined by you. It has to be your foot. Your foot has to go out and plant and get that footing for you to continue to do the second onto whatever, however long that journey was going to take you. And it's amazing how, and we're talking about leadership, but it's always leadership and wellness. How many leaders uh, are needing to be on a wellness journey, whether that be mental, physical, emotional, or however, but they don't see a correlation. So, how is wellness and leadership related? Because there are some leaders out there that don't think there is a relation.
So, what comes to mind is a leader and wellness, a wellness journey. I love that you shared that word, that phrase. That's what I call it. It's a journey because it really is. As you paint the picture, I tend to use a lot of analogies in my coaching and in life in general. It just is easier on the palate. We can digest it a little bit easier. If I speak in these really big words and these, and those that can do that, wonderful. For me, I want to, it's relatable and personable and makes me approachable when I can speak on a level that just connects people. So when it comes to a wellness journey and well-being, everybody has wellness. You may not feel well today. You may not feel whole today. You may feel lost in the sauce, or maybe you're on the island of information overload and you just don't know what to do next because there's just so many balls in the air and you're just like, what is going on? But each person still has wellness inside them. So you're a person, and you're a person, everybody has wellness. Everybody has it. Do you want to increase your wellness? Sure. That might be an aspect that a leader would need to think about, would need to. So that's another need, right? It's just a definitely in a self-reflection. Having this conversation with you, and for those that are listening, just hearing the fact is like, oh, I have wellness, I have well-being. What can I do to increase it? Asking yourself that, what can I do to increase my wellness today? Your body will respond immediately if you listen. And so leaders or employers of small businesses, when you wake up in the morning, what is it that I can do today to increase my own personal responsibility and my well-being? And wait for the answer. It will reveal itself to you. And then maybe that's the first step you take today or tomorrow. So bottom line up front, everybody has well-being. Everybody can get the answers that they need inside, and work with a coach that are going to help you co-navigate the path ahead.
And as well as leaders, just be mindful that you are a reflection of what you want your people to be. You want to be or have them become. And if you are not encapsulating a total wellness approach, then people know that and they see that, right? There's a lot of people. I've been concerned for a lot of my leaders throughout the years for their wellness because they showed signs of stress and distress. And you talk about a broken hull. I've seen some leaders just exemplify that in the way they were approaching the day to day activities. And so it's a thing that not only do leaders have to choose what betterment and wellness they want for their own life, but it's also a reflection, the outward reflection where your people actually are looking at you and saying, "Oh my goodness," and some people say, if that's what that if that's what that position called for, I'm not signing up, right? So you also have to be mindful as leaders that you're being watched on a 24/7 almost, especially if you're on social media cycle, and your wellness is out there, whether you think you're putting it out there or not. So we're always talking about success. Obviously, I wear my success to you t-shirts on all our episodes. But how much of a leader's success is tied to wellness and work? And if I'm not tying those things, where can I?
What was the latter part of your question?
I was asking that if I don't know how those tie up, how can I tie them up?
Mm. So I go back to the inner reflection. A lot of us look for outside validation to show our worth, to know that we're worthy. The fact that you exist, the fact that you are here, you're worthy, you're of worth, you're of value. However, each of us are responsible for ourselves, and I'm a big advocate of personal responsibility. Each person has a responsibility to themselves and their roles in their life. How wellness and leadership tie together, it's all in the same. So, one of the tools that coaches use is a wellness wheel or a life wheel. And there's 8 components: occupational, physical, nutrition, um, spiritual. There's a lot of sections. And so you're a leader, an employee, whatever your role in life is outside of being just a person, it ties together. So, every so often you can evaluate where you are in each section. And if you're really low in wellness, then maybe it's just time to reassess. So it's really just the personal responsibility, inner reflection, having these conversations with your trusted people, your community, your support group. That could be your coach, your whomever it is that you trust, to pour into you, to help you see the goodness that you do bring, and help you highlight your strengths. Sure, everybody has characteristics that might not be the most best thing that someone else thinks, right? Everybody has something that someone doesn't like or resonate with, and that's okay because we're all different people and we're a dynamic group of people in our community, and it's okay. But if you're wanting to grow, the inner reflection starts first. Reached out to your community. Enrique was sharing with me prior to the recording that, silence is loud. So really just like check in with your people, with your community, or share what's going on with you and be open to that and receptive to that, because that's the example other people want to see build community. So being so closed off, it doesn't allow us to grow. And one of the things in my business is, if you're wanting to grow, you need to increase your awareness. And what does that look like? And that looks different to every single person. So today it might be wellness, and tomorrow it might be spiritual, and the next day it might be leadership. So everything ties together because we're all a whole person, and you can't have it not tied together. It comes together. It's just some areas may be stronger than others at different parts of your life.
All right. Well, folks, we've been talking about leadership and wellness. Jessica was just alluding to a comment I had made after, a period of a person went silent, and they're no longer here, right? And sometimes in those silent periods, it's when people speak the loudest. And I was saying, a smile conceals 1,000 wounds, and silence is louder than 1,000 words. And so it all came from that event, which unfortunately happened. But in those times of silence, hey, look out for your folks. Look out for your people. Wellness is a leadership thing. You number one, you need to exhibit it, and number two, you need to figure out, where your people are being challenged with that, whether they speak it or not. You can see on the outside, that they're challenged with some stuff. So Jessica, if some people are being challenged and they are challenged with some things and want to get a hold of you, how would they do that?
Thank you for asking the invitation to share. The best way to reach me is on my website. That is www.conveyingawareness.com. On there are some links to contact me. There's a contact form. I'm also on social media. LinkedIn is my favorite place to hang out because I get to be in the room with people like Enrique and other awesome entrepreneurs, leaders, and community members. But I'm also on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Convey Awareness is my handle. You can find me on those places.
All right, folks. Well, we're going to have that as part of the show notes and the video so you could get a hold of Jessica and get on the next step of clarity. She could have worn a better t shirt right now to just invite you to that clear future in wellness. Jessica, thank you so much for taking your time with us today to cover the topic. We really appreciate what the work you do and the work that you're doing with folks out there in your neck of the woods and in our nation. Now, folks, today's episode is sponsored by Triad Leadership Solutions. And if you've enjoyed this episode and learned something interesting about the topic covered today, make sure to subscribe and let us know by leaving a comment right now. And we're always looking for new ideas and guests that we can add to our show. So if you know someone or have a topic that you would like featured on the podcast or want to sponsor our show, we'd love to hear about it by emailing us at triadleadershipsolutions@gmail.com. Be sure to tune in next week for another episode where we dissect leadership from another angle. And as we like to end the show, success to you.
Thank you. Be well.